Hi guys, we've made it. It's the end of the transfer window. What a summer it's been. And not only have Chelsea had a transfer window, but they've gone and played in the Conference League, won that, played in the Club World Cup. There was 2 transfer windows, let's not forget. And then they win the Club World Cup while signing players as well. So yeah, I'm going to kind of do this as a little sort of wrap up of the transfer window as a whole, and also I guess of the last 72 hours. I'll try and recap this. I'm going to forget something. I've got a few notes in front of me, so if I glance down, you'll know why. I just don't want to miss some stuff because I'm trying to be energetic, but to be fair, I'm quite tired. But yeah, so let's sort of recap what the last 24 hours was. So yeah, I remember it all felt quite calm on about Friday. Went to the press conference of Chelsea. It was before the Fulham game, and we spoke to Maresca about the transfer window. It all felt very calm. And Nkunku, he joined AC Milan, and Chelsea went from 4 strikers down to 2 just before kickoff. They also agreed a deal to allow Nicholas Jackson to join Bayern Munich on loan with an option to buy. I think the loan fee was very good as well. So, you're thinking, right, 4 strikers down to 2, that's normal. Oh, let's go to the game. Good game. But quite early on, actually, Liam Delap sprinting for a ball, pulls his hamstring. It was like a textbook hamstring pull. You see them all the time in football. And yeah, you were thinking, right, that's a few weeks out. That's not great. It's never great, but it's quite a common injury. And then obviously João Pedro scores, great form. 5 goals in 5 starts for Chelsea, I believe, in all competitions. But this started like a hectic 72 hours, to be honest. And I forget to mention, actually, that Chelsea made a bid for Barcelona forward Fermin Lopez just before this, and he's a different kind of attacker, obviously, more of a winger, number 10. Anyway, this injury happens. I go into the press conference, speak to Maresca, and he doesn't know what's going on really. But then, about an hour later, you get the news filtering through that, Chelsea are not letting Nicholas Jackson go on loan to Bayern Munich. All of a sudden, they've withdrawn permission to do the medical. And then he's got to come back to London. Now, the initial reaction from a player who's going to go and join a club, he's either going to be third choice striker at Chelsea, or he gets to go to Bayern Munich and be, let's not say first because Harry Kane's there, but second choice. A good plan for him. He's happy to go there. It's really hard. So yeah, obviously he wasn't happy about that. Anyway, that happened. Recall Jackson. Then I didn't know about it at the time, but after the fact I worked it out. Chelsea had also begun negotiating with Sporting Lisbon for Conrad Harder, another striker. They also spoke to the player to see if he could come and join Chelsea. Now, he'd already had some talks with RB Leipzig. They were quite advanced, actually, and it was going to be hard to hijack it. But Chelsea were trying, so they had this going on. And then, because there was actually quite a positive conversation initially for Conrad Harder, they thought, let's go and ask Bayern Munich now for a transfer fee. They have to sign Jackson on a permanent, and you'll have seen that news. You've probably forgotten it in all the melee, but you'll have seen that they tried to get Jackson out on a permanent deal. Now, that's kind of not happened, but that was the plan. Anyway, it soon became apparent that Harder wouldn't join. And I understand why. From speaking to all the people involved, Harder was being offered a better squad role at Leipzig. Let's move on to the next step. So it was kind of like a plan A, plan B, and plan C situation. The plan I've just detailed to you there was kind of like the post-Delap injury plan A. That didn't work out. I just explained that. But plan B comes into play now, and plan B does work out, which is recall Mark Guiu. Now, there's no recall clause. He'd only played 3 games for Sunderland. Like, obviously, most clubs expect them to stay for at least 6 months, if not the full season-long loan. Anyway, Chelsea negotiate, and they've got a good relationship with Sunderland, negotiate with them. Like, to be honest, it went pretty positive, and we've just seen Sunderland have signed a good striker. Ajax's Brian Brobby. He's quite a good striker for them, I'd say. Anyway, that was sort of that was clearly viable quite quickly, to be honest. So Plan C never came to play, but Plan C was the plan that Chelsea and Jackson didn't want, and Bayern obviously recalled Jackson properly. You're coming back. We can do this, and legally, Chelsea would have been fine to do it, but it would have been not the best in the human aspect, and I think that would have had to been acknowledged. Certainly Jackson wanted to go. I mean, he stayed in Munich this whole time until a deal got done, and now, by the way, it has got done, and it's gone through on improved terms. So Chelsea will bank 14.3 million as a loan fee, and then another 56 million in terms of an obligation to buy, but that's based on appearances. But yeah, certainly it's been put to me, it's not completely locked in, this obligation. They rarely are, to be honest. You just seen Jadon Sancho, Chelsea got out of that last year, but it's likely that if Jackson does well, pretty well at Bayern Munich, they're going to pay, and they're happy to pay. They're quite delighted about this deal, by the way. They think he's a really good player and a great player to complement Harry Kane, and I kind of agree with him. I'm a big fan of his. Anyway, all that goes on, and just imagine that's the last 72 hours. That was not planned, and you're adding that on top of Chelsea signed Facundo Buonanotte on a season-long loan from Brighton, 2 million loan fee there. Outgoings, I'm looking at the screen now, so forgive me, but it's easier. Ben Chilwell goes to Strasbourg. Yeah, that's, the old meme of Spider-Man pointing at himself. We've done a deal with ourselves kind of situation, but he's gone there. I kind of respect it in a way from the Chilwell point of view. Get back to playing football, nothing else on the table. You got a big contract. What are you going to do? Get out of Maresca's hair, go play some football at Strasbourg. Great experience, all good for him. Tyreek George joins Fulham. Oh, no, wait, he doesn't. The deal collapses because on the Fulham end, they can't sell Harry Wilson for the fee they want. So that 22 million deal collapses, but Chelsea were negotiating that. Bit of a waste of time in the end. This is just on the last few days, by the way. Alex Matos goes to Sheffield United. Daniel Neely joins Nottingham Forest. Mari Kellerman goes on loan to Cardiff City. Jimmy J. Morgan also on loan to Peterborough United. So, Chelsea doing all this stuff, and it's mad. And let's not forget that they're trying to sell Raheem Sterling. He stays. Axel Disasi as well, and he stays. So they don't go on loan, they don't get sold, and that's a problem. So that was one negative, but a huge amount of deals done by Chelsea. There should be a lot of respect for that. Also, you've got to say that they almost reached 300 million in player sales. Now, this is a Premier League record. No one has ever got close to 300 million before in player sales. Actually, the second biggest is Chelsea under this ownership. So, yes, they spend a lot. And I know if you guys have friends who support other clubs, they'll say Chelsea sign millions of players, they spend loads of money. And to be fair, it's pretty true. But they're great at selling as well. So, if you want to make that argument, you can, and you can look at my articles and see the data. Nearly 300 million raised, Premier League record, by the way, for Chelsea. So, phenomenal stuff. Anyway, let's get to the bigger picture. That was a pretty big picture, but there's an even bigger picture, which is the whole summer, which, my God, it's been hectic for me. Going to America, spending a month there. But let's see. So they've signed Asugo, Delap, Estevao Willian, Gittins, Hato, João Pedro, and Buonanotte. 7 signings in. Now, they've also signed some other players. They've gone on loan. Kendry Pais joined, but he went to Strasbourg. Penders, the goalkeeper, went to Strasbourg. And Mamadou Sarr signed, but then back to Strasbourg. So, they've got a future at Chelsea, but not in this discussion. And then out is Matisse Mugu, Bettinelli, Dewsbury Hall, Madueke, and Kunku, and then a lot of others who were on loan last season as well, and Anselmino as well, who was at Chelsea but has gone on loan to Dortmund. So, yeah, you know, you just look at that and you're looking man for man. And look, Madueke, good player, but is Gittins better? You know, he's maybe the closest like for like there. I don't know. Let's see. João Pedro from Kunku again. Like early stages, to be honest. You know, you very much think you've upgraded there. Delap, a second striker, Chelsea didn't have. Now midfield, you're looking at Buonanotte for Dewsbury Hall. Is that an upgrade? Maybe. You know, Chelsea do like him. Add in Jorel Hato as a left back. He can play centre back as well, but he's a left back primarily, I think, at Chelsea. They didn't really have a backup for Cucurella, so that's really good. Estevao Willian, you know, maybe I should have compared him with Madueke. Is he better? I mean, I think Chelsea would say they think yes, even though they really respect Madueke. Huge excitement for Chelsea for him. You know, I mean, in the hierarchy, even a year before he joined, there was. And looking at the fans as well, the reactions to him, I think the fans already love him, to be honest. There's a song for him already and all that. So, yeah, you're seeing that the squad's bigger as well. You've got Gittins and Estevao coming in for Madueke, so that's 2 in for 1. I'm looking at who else have I not mentioned. Esugo as well in midfield, like better than Amugu, like almost certainly yes, and a great profile to back up Caicedo, very similar to him. So yeah, that's the full squad really. And let's talk about the numbers as well. Chelsea have spent 268.3 million. I make it with add-ons, and then to be fair, you could add Estevan and Pais, who were signed the summer before, and that would go over 300 million to 336 million. Now they've sold, from my calculations, including add-ons, 292.5 million worth of players. It's important to say that this summer Chelsea couldn't go rampantly spending because UEFA had some restrictions on Chelsea that they must maintain a positive transfer balance. And look, as you can see, they're probably going to be fine. I don't think anyone's saying, oh, Chelsea have messed this up. They messed it up. And if they did mess it up, by the way, they wouldn't be able to register players for the Champions League. So the new signings, they wouldn't be able to register them for the Champions League. Now, I think that the squad is stronger. I genuinely think that. I think it's been a good summer from Chelsea. I think that the striker situation was a bit chaotic, a bit mad, but Chelsea will say, look, we've got a better deal for Jackson. We've got Mark Guiu back to make the cover. Look, there's been positive outcomes in a difficult situation. I get that, to be fair. You know, so I think that all in all, the Chelsea squad is looking pretty healthy. Now, what can they achieve? Like, I do think, and I've said it in previous videos, that the Champions League will be tough. And you've seen in my last video that I sort of reviewed the Champions League group and stuff like that. And we talked about what it would take to get out of it. It's not that hard to get out of it, but then when you're playing Champions League and Premier League every week, and you've had the Conference League before, it's a huge learning curve, and a lot of these players don't have that experience. We know practically one of the youngest squads in Europe, if not the youngest, I think, apart from Strasbourg, really. Although Chilwell's there now, complicates things. Yeah, so that's it pretty much, I'd say. That's the squad. That's my review of it. And yeah, let me know what you think. Is there any weaknesses, any deals you didn't like, anything you wish they did more of? I mean, everyone wants more, right? But I think if they did sign more, and even if they signed Harder or Firmin, I would have been thinking somebody's losing minutes here. So I think it's actually a decent balance of squad, dare I say. I might look wrong. Look, an injury crisis can hurt anyone, but I think the balance of squad is nice now. There's a backup for everyone. There's maybe the odd player extra here or there that they can dip into. Great academy beneath it. Shin Mueka doing a great job in the academy as a striker if they ever need him. So I think it's good balance. Anyway, guys, this is the bridge briefing with Nizaar Kinsella. Like, comment, and I'll try and answer. I should be better at answering. I think the last video I didn't answer enough questions, so this video I am going to do it. The window's over now. I have no excuses. No, thanks for bearing with me. I hope you enjoyed my updates, both on here and on my other platforms. And yeah, keep following me and yeah, following the Bridge Briefing. Thanks a lot.